66 laps of the Circuit de Barcelona are complete, and they were scorching laps. It's absolutely roasting here in Spain, and it's time to debrief what we have just seen as Max Verstappen took victory after Charles Leclerc DNF'd. Joining me to talk it through is Mercedes reserve driver Nick de Vries. Very good afternoon to you, Nick. What a race.
Yeah, what an action-packed race. I think we were all very spoiled by that race. Very unfortunate for Ferrari and Charles, who were obviously leading and in a kind of sweet spot to extend their lead in the championship, but unfortunately reliability called them out, and I think behind that there was a lot of action too.
There really was, up and down the field. Let's bring in our first guest. Point scoring today, Yuki Tsunoda for AlphaTauri. Draped in, I'm imagining, a cool towel. You've got a cooling vest on. How tough was it out there, Yuki, today?
Yeah, it was a really tough race. For me, it was one of the toughest race in this year for sure. I think last time Miami was also tough from the humidity as well. But I think the position I was fighting was having extra pressure from the, outside. So yeah, I think overall, also the temperature itself, I think higher in Miami or pretty similar. So I think it was a really tough race, and yeah, I'm pretty done.
But it was all worth it, and you scored a point at the end. Yeah. So go and smile. Well done.
Especially if I finish P11, I'm gonna definitely
cry.
Lie down and cry. What a way to see out a weekend. What do you take away from this weekend, though, in terms of the car and what you've added to it this weekend?
Yeah, I think I'm pleased what I've done today. I think based on what car we have this week, we struggle a lot from FP1, and quality. In the end, able to position P13, P14, which is not too far from the position P10. But we were expecting even hard to go through Q2. So just we build it up.
What was missing earlier in the weekend, and why were you thinking that it was even going to be tough to proceed to progress to?
You're in Mercedes, so we need a lot of little tips from you guys. But,
you guys have to meet up later. Trade some secrets.
Well, I think we know what limitation we have currently compared to other competitors. So, but at the same time, they brought a lot of new updates, and we didn't have new things. So, we need definitely good updates, but at the same time, we need a big updates rather than having a small updates, because also we're having cost cap this week, this race.
Do you know when those bigger upgrades will be coming? Have you pinpointed when that might be?
I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully that will bring us top 5. That'll be really good. But I won't expect too high. But to have a good update, we need to give a good also feedback from the car. So hopefully that works well, and we'll see in the future.
And we sort of know that your car doesn't like these very, very hot temperatures, although I don't think any of the cars were liking what we had today. But are you getting a bit more of a handle on the car in the warmer weather?
Yeah, I think, we started I think we're having a reliability issue at the beginning of the season. We face on lack of reliability, and also this, last 2 races where we're having really hot temperature. But currently we didn't have any of reliability, including Red Bull as well. So we getting better. But still we have something small issue in the race week. We didn't still have a clean race week. So hopefully we have to achieve that one. But we're getting better. Yeah. Sure.
Well, that is great news.
Just one question. How was it in the car into turn 4? Because obviously some people were caught out by some gusts going into turn 4. Did you at any point felt some rear instability and movement going into turn 4?
Yeah, at some point in the middle of the race, I think lap 40 or lap 50, I think wind increase tailwind in exit of turn 4. That's why I had 1 snap or 2 snaps, quite big one. But luckily I saved it. But yeah, I feel some point that the wind changes and increased, and it's hard to drive there.
Oh, well done. A point to your name today. And we'll see you next week in Monaco. I can't believe it's only a few days away that we'll all be down there. Well done, Yuki. Great to chat to you as well. Stay well and get cool.
Behave.
Thank you.
Behave, there we go. You're like a dad, I love it. You can go, Yuki. You're all good.
See you later, mate.
You can stay if you'd like. We love having you on the show. A good little mini point.
I'm afraid I need to almost rush
It's okay.
off.
Don't worry. Let's just have a little recap on the race then. Just tell me what you made of this weekend in Barcelona from Mercedes' point of view, that upgrade giving you a bit more of a baseline now.
Yeah, I think generally the upgrades the team managed to put on the car for this weekend has been very, very encouraging. Obviously, it was unfortunate for Lewis to lose out on his position at the start in turn 4. I think it was a very, kind of unfortunate incident. But he drove an amazing race to come back all the way from the back of the grid, and at the same time, George to keep Max obviously with a bit of help from the DRS behind for so long was also an equally incredible job. So I think the team has a lot of positive to take from this weekend, and ultimately perhaps a little disappointed to miss out on P4 with Lewis due to the overheating issues, but generally a very good weekend. So hopefully the team can continue to build on this and move closer towards the front of the grid.
Absolutely. Well, I know you normally like to stay and debrief the race in full, and you're fabulous with your expert insight, but why are you heading off? Tell everybody where you're going.
I'm going back to the UK with the engineers to be in the simulator tomorrow. So
see.
Lovely.
Love it. Well, what a weekend. FP1 for you with Williams, managing to be in the garage with Mercedes as they start their resurgence. Have a safe flight and good luck in the simulator this weekend.
Thank you.
Bye. There we go. Bye.
Sorry.
Don't worry. I just ran it out solo. Okay, so that was Nick de Vries, of course. Let's focus now on Ferrari. Charles Leclerc with a heartbreaking race today. It all looked to be going his way, the championship leader at the time, and then a DNF. Not the race that he was, I'm sure, expecting. Let's hear what he had to say after he DNF'd. He's been in the media pen.
Hey Charles, after commanding that race, can you just sum up your emotions, obviously, when you had that PU issue?
Well, I'm obviously disappointed, as all the team is at the moment, but in those moments there's not much I can do apart from looking at the positives, because obviously looking back at the weekend, I think there's plenty of positive, the pace in general and time management, that was going to be a huge thing today, and I think we are the ones that have managed the tyres in the best way. So I feel confident for the rest of the season. We just need to understand what went wrong for it to not happen again, because every point is important, and today by the look of it we'll lose quite a lot of points in the championship, so we cannot afford that too many times during a season. But apart from that, the team has been faultless since the beginning of the season, so it happens in a season, and now we'll just keep our head down and come back stronger at the next race.
How painful is it to lose that such a big chunk of points, considering Max is actually performing quite well in this race?
Yeah, I mean, it is hurting, but it hurts, but it's like this.
A very disappointing afternoon for Charles Leclerc, leaving the top step in terms of the championship standings, and Max Verstappen taking that top spot. I can't speak, it's so hot. Esteban Ocon, I can say that though. You've just picked up the microphone and said how hot it was. I imagine unbelievably hot out there around the track. Or do you actually get a little bit of breeze through?
Well, I'm having ice on myself. It's actually melt. It's pure water now. So.
Oh gosh.
It was quite hot, but what a race that we had. So happy with the result of today, and feels like a victory a bit.
P7, that is great. Just looking a little further down, of course, Fernando P9. Was that what you were expecting coming into this weekend? Did you think this weekend was going to go your way?
Not really. We wanted to get points, but it was unexpected that we didn't qualify so well. We got 12 and 17 with Fernando. So to have both cars in the points and to show the speed that we had in the first stint, making some great overtakes, it was very nice, and it's a good reward for everybody that's working hard in both factories, because we are bringing updates, we are pushing the car, and we didn't necessarily see those gains, and we've seen them in the race now.
And you mentioned overtaking. We saw several overtakes, in fact, because people often think of this circuit as one where it's impossible to pass. What was it like in these new cars?
It was difficult, but I have to say better than last year. You can follow much closer. You can, exit the last corner, then close and make an overtake in turn 1. And I did 3 or 4 in total, so it's been nice.
Just picking them off. I love it.
It's been nice.
In terms of what you take away from this weekend and take into Monaco, obviously a very different circuit. How do you think your car setup will go around that tight and twisty track next weekend?
Well, we are going to need to fix Saturday, definitely, because qualifying 12 in Monaco and coming back on Sunday is not going to be an option. Because there, even with the new cars, we're not going to really be able to pass. So we need to qualify well. That's going to be our priority, and from there on we'll see. But I want to enjoy tonight, have a good sleep, and then recharge before getting there.
And what happens tomorrow then, once you've had your lovely sleep and maybe a little coup de champagne?
No,
not quite.
champagne,
No. Do you do some sim work this week, or are you straight to Monaco?
No, we've done that already last week. We are gonna drive to Monaco actually. So
that'd be lovely.
If I see some of you guys on the motorway, wave.
Give a little hoot.
Yeah, exactly. and now a meeting with the engineers by Tuesday, and hopefully a little bit of relaxing by the pool.
Oh, that sounds
That
dreamy.
would be nice.
Well, relax well. I hope you can cool down, even though you just got water rather than ice. We'll see you next weekend for Monaco.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. A good result for you guys. Well, let's hear from Esteban's team principal, Otmar Szafnauer. He's been talking in the paddock.
Otmar, at the start of this Grand Prix, one of your cars started at the very back of the field after quite a late power unit change and entertained us all the way through the race. But what happened this morning?
Well, we starting 17th, it made sense to introduce another power unit into the pool, and because you only take a 3-place grid penalty instead of 10. And then starting 20th, Fernando had a good start, overtook a few in the first couple of laps, and after that, you're absolutely right. It was entertaining to watch him fight with Sebastian and some of the others.
It was a pretty good result for the team, all things considering, with your car starting where it is. Fernando still showing he's got it in him. But going into the next Grand Prix, it's quite a special one for your team.
It is, and I think one lap performance is king there, so we got to make sure we can optimize that, and let's see where we go in Monaco. But we're looking forward to another double points finish.
Otmar, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sam Collins talking to Otmar Szafnauer then. And coming into the weekend, Otmar saying that they wanted to score points with both cars, as all teams do, but his dreams coming true with a P7 and a P9 for the Alpine team. Let's head back to the Ferrari story of this afternoon. Of course, Charles Leclerc DNFing, unable to finish the race with an unidentified power unit problem. Let's hear from his team principal now, Mattia Binotto. And Sam Collins is a busy guy. He's been to talk to him.
Mattia, a difficult day for you, I have to say. It looked banged on for a dominant victory here in Barcelona, and, well, what went wrong?
Obviously a reliability issue, something that may happen. We need to understand what's about. So power unit will be back to Maranello, and tomorrow morning we'll try to disassemble and try to understand what happened. But having said that, I think we need to keep positive. It has been a fantastic weekend, just to the point of the reliability issue. The pace was very strong in the race. Charles was driving very well, and I think he had really a strong lead at that time in the race. So after 6 races, to know that the car is still performing well, the package that we brought here was working as expected. It's all positive, and I think the championship is certainly still open. It's a long way to the end, and we'll keep pushing.
Going into some very different circuits coming up, 2 street circuits, very different performance brackets. How do you think you're going to fare against what are clearly now your championship rivals, Red Bull?
I think Red Bull is our competitors. We knew it since the very start of the season. They are still our competitors. Now we've got Monaco. It's a home race for Charles. I'm sure he's very excited, ready to be there. And in a week time, I think it's good when you got such an issue as this weekend to be back as soon as possible on track to fight and maybe, hopefully, try to get once again the lead.
Now, the last one from me, that power unit that's going back to Maranello, do you have any hope that it can re-enter the pool?
Honestly, no idea. It's very difficult to judge, but I would say very difficult when you stop like that. Few components, maybe, because of the entire power unit. Maybe it's only a couple of, components of it that cannot be used once again. But as I said, we need first to analyze.
Mattia, thank you very much.
A few days for Charles Leclerc and the Ferrari team to regroup ahead of Monaco, of course, heading into Charles' home race next weekend, where I'm sure he'll be looking for redemption. It all looked like it was going Charles' way, and of course then the race came undone. But for his teammate Carlos Sainz, and of course home hero Carlos Sainz, there was a little bit of a scary moment when he had an off at turn 4. So let's head back to F1's Tech HQ and join Jordan King, who's been looking at that area of the track that caught both Carlos and Max Verstappen out. Over to you, Jordan.
So first of all, we've got Carlos Sainz here at turn 4. It looked like it was very gusty coming into turn 4. You can simulate this on the simulator, but you never quite know until real life. With Carlos, he comes in here. As soon as he turns in, he just loses the rear, spins straight round. Luckily for him, he manages to keep the car rolling and get himself out of the gravel trap, but cost him a load of lap time and really ruined his race. If we jump then to a bit more of a race strategy defining moment to Max Verstappen, almost carbon copy down into turn 4 again. As soon as he turns in, loses the rear, but manages, look at all that opposite lock, manages to just keep the car, crucially, in a straight line, bounces through the gravel, gets back onto the track. But that moment there really changed the dynamic of the whole race. As we saw, put him behind George Russell, but also, crucially, being stuck behind George Russell. If we look here, if we zoom in, not that one. Oh, it's not working. There we go. We can start the clip again. Look at his rear wing. If we look at his rear wing, we'll start the clip again. We won't zoom in now, but look at his rear wing. It goes to go open and then shuts again, and that really hindered his whole race. He couldn't get past George Russell, but it led for us to have a great battle for him, as we see now, down into turn 1. He managed to get up the inside eventually of George Russell, but very cleverly for George, stayed around the outside, blocked him off in turn 2, and then we got another corner side by side all the way round, and just enough room left for Max Verstappen for the battle to continue. And all this fighting, the spin, the DRS, and then being stuck behind George, meant Red Bull had to come out and be slightly clever with their strategy, pit Max early to get ahead of George in the pit stops.
Jordan, thank you so much for your analysis. It was great to watch, I have to say. Bringing in Sam Collins now, F1's tech analyst. Sam, that was a great battle between Max trying desperately to get past George without the assistance of DRS. And then, of course, we had a little bit of team orders, didn't we? They slightly teed it up early on with Hugh Bird on the radio to his driver, Sergio Perez, explaining the situation, different strategies. What do you think is going to be going on this evening in the Red Bull debrief?
Now, in my life, when I hear the words, we need to have a little bit of a talk later on, it's never a good thing.
No.
And I think Mr. Perez is going to be a little bit upset with his engineers. But he's clearly a team player, because he was like, I'm happy for the result. I need to have understand why you've made that decision. Am I really that much of a number 2? Why am I not allowed to fight for a win? But then, look, the Red Bull are fighting for a world championship for Max Verstappen. Perez is doing very well. He's doing brilliantly this season, but it's clear he's a number 2 driver, and that's unfortunate for all of his fans. I'd like to see him up front, but Max is the lead of that team.
I guess some people are just aware that we're a quarter of the way through the season, and with team orders already coming to the fore, it just is a little bit disappointing, I imagine, for the fans and for us watching to see that play out. But, you know, maybe it was because the DRS wasn't working. Red Bull felt that they needed to do Max a little bit of a solid there and sort of balance things out. But, you know, best case scenario for the team with a 1-2.
Well, I think they actually did do Max a solid there, because in my opinion, I think Perez could have beaten his teammate because of that DRS issue, and he was driving pretty well anyway. But that DRS issue is got to be a worry for Red Bull. It's dogged them all the way through the last 24 hours. They had the problem in qualifying. This morning they had the problem. They were fixing it on the way to the grid. He was very late to the grid, was Verstappen, and the problem was still going all the way through the race. And I don't think they fully understand that problem.
I'm confused, because this was a problem we saw during the last triple header last year. Mexico, Brazil, Qatar even. I remember being in the pit lane and focusing in at the back of the garage trying to see what they were doing with the DRS flap. We've got totally new cars. Why is this problem still hampering this particular team?
Well, there's one of the few parts of the cars that aren't going to be massively different. The DRS actuator is a little mechanical device. Yeah, it might have some slightly different linkages for different shaped wings, but ultimately it's fundamentally the same thing. So I wonder if it is still the same problem, just re-emerging, or is it because it's just so hot here? Was there a little bit of thermal expansion going on and just making things stick? Mercedes had problems with DRS too. I think Aston Martin had some problems
Haas did as well.
Haas did, yes. So I think there are some issues with that overall. Is everything just too finely tolerant, too tight? It gets too hot, gets a bit thicker, gets stuck.
Well, if you're lucky enough to have F1 TV, you will be able to watch Tech Talk, where Albert Fabregas explains DRS, of course, drag reduction system, so you can treat yourself to that on a Sunday evening. Why not? Let's hear from Sergio Perez then. Teamwork made the dream work for them this afternoon. Let's hear from Checo talking in the media pen.
Hey Checo, you showed the pace to win today. How many times you looked like you should have won? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to digest, but it turned out to be that the 3-stop was the better strategy, and I think I didn't have a very optimized two-stop, as well. But at the end of the day, it's a great team result.
The team obviously asked you to move over. You said on team radio you want to chat to the team afterwards. What do you want to chat about?
Well, I just want to understand because I felt that when I was on the two-stop, I could have gone through them a bit quicker, and probably optimize more my strategy, which I spent a couple of laps behind, and probably just to understand a bit better together what happens next.
Do you think that going forward you might not have the opportunity to win races if in the same situation?
No, I think I'm definitely here to win, and I think if I was on the first three stop, I should have won the race.
Great stuff. Thanks, Checo.
Checo talking to Lawrence Barretto in the pen, and there have been team orders here, even on the F1 Live post-race desk. We've been told to change positions, so here we go. We're just playing the game. We're so F1. I love it.
Well, I just thought I had the first corner first, so it was only fair that you'd have to go into this position and I come slightly up the hill.
I'm worried about my drag reduction system already. Right, well, let's hear from Max Verstappen, who was talking in the pen a little earlier on to Lawrence Barretto.
Hey Max, congratulations. That was a win that I know you always have to work hard for it, but it felt like you had to work even harder today.
Yeah, it was a tricky one. I don't know why I went off in turn 4. It was suddenly I braked at the same point and suddenly I just completely lost the rear. They told me, of course, on the radio suddenly there was a lot more tailwind into the corner, which made it probably a lot more difficult to drive. But of course that made it a lot more difficult for me. But nothing really was lost because I was fighting, of course, with George again, but my DRS stopped working basically. And that was very frustrating at the time. I was very upset. But then at one point, you have to try and live with it, right? And I tried to do the best I could. We opted to go a different route with the strategy, and I think, that made us also win today. Because once I was in clean air, I could do my own lap times again, and I could actually pull a big gap on the cars around me. So, that was very positive.
Third win on the bounce, the championship lead. That must be very satisfying.
It is, but we have to be realistic. I mean, without Charles' retirement, he probably would have won the race. So we are lacking a bit of pace. So we have to make sure that we keep on working to try and improve the car.
There's still a few niggles, even in kind of the height of this win. Is that something that you're a little bit concerned about?
At least we didn't retire compared to some others. So we are on a good trajectory. But of course, as you can see, sometimes it can be a bit fragile. And we have to be on top of everything.
Great stuff. Thank you. Congratulations.
I got on the radio and it turns out they wanted to switch us back again.
We're going to have to talk about it later.
Multi-21 vibes and all sorts. Well, Red Bull dealing with their own reliability issues, hopefully something that they can fix. And it is, as you say, it's like such a tiny little part, that actuator. So hopefully they can get on top of that. And we are expecting cooler conditions in Monaco. And of course, DRS... not really going to help things in Monaco.
You can use it through the tunnel there, but no, it doesn't really help massively. But it's not long till Monaco. There's only a few days. Everybody's basically packing up here, driving around the corner of the Mediterranean and going to Monaco. However, they've got a very short break then before they have to put everything on an aeroplane and go to Azerbaijan, where you've got very high loads on a street circuit where it is likely to be hot. And that's where you might see that problem. And that will be crucial, because losing DRS on that long straight in Baku will really hamper anyone who loses it. Look how hard it was for Max to battle with George Russell, who did a brilliant drive today as well.
Well, perfect segue there for me, because George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, the resurgence, I feel, has begun. We had Nick de Vries on the show a little earlier on. It feels like they've now found a baseline that they can now build on. And I mentioned in the pre-race show that Toto Wolff said last night that whilst everyone else has been busying themselves trying to find development and upgrades for their car, of course, they've had to pause that, really because they didn't have a car to develop. They had a car to fix. So now they've got that baseline. Do we think we're going to see more of an improvement in Monaco? Is that a tricky track? A bit like you were saying, you've got to look forward almost now to Baku. Is that where we'll see whether those upgrades really make the difference?
Yeah, Monaco's a funny one because it's just so low average speed, low grip, high downforce. You just really can't map a car that way to say, oh, if it works well at Monaco, it'll work well everywhere. But if it does work well here in Barcelona, it will work well pretty much everywhere. So I do think we are seeing a genuine Mercedes resurgence now.
Well, a fabulous performance by both drivers. Lewis Hamilton with that early contact with Kevin Magnussen doing incredibly well to push himself up the order to finish P5. And of course, George Russell completing the podium this afternoon. Just a little bit of overheating for Lewis. Of course, that water leak leading to the PU overheating. So they'll just want to be mindful of that going forward. But great to see more teams right up at the front battling for the top spot. And let's join now Ariana Bravo, who is talking to Toto Wolff, team principal at Mercedes.
Toto, a great launch for George and some fantastic battles on track as well, and a superb recovery drive from Lewis. But then we did hear those radio messages about the risk of DNFs. Can you tell us a bit more about those issues?
Yeah, we had unfortunately a water leak on Lewis's car that we discovered within the race, and we didn't know whether we will make it, and at the end we just cruised into the finish, but not sure whether the engine has actually survived.
And is it an issue that you're worried about looking forward? Of course, Monaco's just around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't want to take an engine penalty, but we are racers and we just try to hold on to a solid finish.
Looking over the weekend as a whole, though, of course, you brought the upgraded package. How do you reflect on those upgrades? Are you happy with the progress you've made as a whole?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. We can be happy because we were a little bit in no man's land, and now we've beaten the Ferrari legit on the track. And with Lewis, we had the pace to race for the win.
And one more question before I let you go. Of course, we heard that radio message from Lewis after that tricky start saying that, you know, maybe it wasn't worth continuing. Was that ever something that actually crossed the team's minds of just letting the race sort of go?
No, I think in any case, it's like testing, you know,
yeah.
Even if you can't go in the top positions, you're accruing a lot of mileage, you're learning, and that's why, no, we are racers, we never give up.
Perfect, and of course you didn't, and fantastic results for the weekend. Thank you, Toto.
I think we're all glad that Lewis Hamilton stayed in the race because it gave us a brilliant few laps here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. The overheating that Lewis's engine will have experienced due to that water leak, how do the team test that it hasn't been warped or destroyed and therefore can't be used again, and then therefore maybe mean they'll have to take a penalty?
Well, the teams are a little bit limited on inspection because this power unit can't be unsealed. Unsealing the power unit essentially means it's you know, you've used it up, that's done. So they can take a spark plug out and look down into the cylinder that way to see if there's a problem in the V6 engine. In the hybrid system, there's similar sort of non-intrusive inspection techniques, and they can just put it on a dyno and run it and see what happens. It's the ultimate thing they can do. Take it to Brixworth and spin it up, and
they've got time for that. I mean, we're Sunday night, needs to be on track on Friday.
They're going to be busy, yeah. I mean, you can do it physically, but they're going to have to work hard, and that's the nature of Formula One. Work hard, push to the absolute maximum. They can do it, but if they do find there's a problem, they do have a spare. But that will be, I think, the last one in Lewis's pool. And this was a brand new power unit, don't forget. They only bolted it in on Saturday, as far as I'm aware.
Both drivers taking UPUs seamlessly, as Andrew Shovlin, their chief engineer, said on Friday. So a seamless transition, but perhaps not giving them the exact power output they wanted today, or at least results they wanted. Let's join George Russell now, who is talking to Ariana Bravo.
George, congratulations on another podium. Solid drive from you today, some nice battles as well. Does this mean that you are back with those new upgrades?
No, we're not back just yet, but we're definitely on the right path. It's been 6 races worth of problem solving. Watch out behind.
Thank you.
There's one of your colleagues there as well, just reckless.
Trying to wipe me out?
Yeah, you know, it's been 5-6 races of problem solving rather than gaining performance. Whoa, sorry. And wow. And we've finally found the solution to our problems, and now we can focus on bringing more performance. So this is the start of our season.
Hopeful for next week?
I don't think we'll make any major strides for next week, but I think we will do in the coming races.
Thank you so much, George.
Really exciting to see what Mercedes can bring to the upcoming races. And of course, we're not that far away from Silverstone. 2 British drivers, if they can get on top of all of their performance issues, imagine the scenes if we were able to see a 1-2 for Mercedes after all the woes they've had in front of the British crowds.
Well, I think if Mercedes are willing at some point before that to do what Alpine did this weekend and deliberately take a penalty, they could bring an upgraded specification of power unit. Every team can upgrade a last couple of components that aren't homologated until the Dutch Grand Prix. However, you are allowed to make changes to your V6 engine if you have some reliability issues. They've had reliability issues. Could they upgrade that V6 engine as a result? And if you improve reliability, well, you happen to improve performance at the same time, well, that's fair game.
Well, there's still a lot of this season left, just a quarter, just over a quarter, actually, I think, if we're being sort of very precise, as we are in Formula One, aren't we? So still about 3/4 of the season left to go. Let's switch our focus now to Ferrari and Carlos Sainz. A lot of pressure on him this weekend, as there always is on a home driver, home hero. Of course, Fernando Alonso also on the grid. Must not forget the two-time world champion. That would be very remiss of me. But Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, a race-winning machine. Today it was tough for him. It was always going to be tough, but also that wind that we spoke about earlier on in the show, just really catching him out. Is that because the car is a little light at the rear? And he has complained about that.
I think he just got a little bit unlucky with where the wind was blowing across the circuit. The wind just at that moment was blowing very strongly, just where we're standing now. And then it would stop for 5 minutes and then blow very strongly for a minute or so and then stop. And I think he just got unlucky with one of those gusts. Max Verstappen had the same issue a little bit later. But I do worry that Carlos Sainz is putting, not just because it's home race, but he's putting pressure on himself because he's put it in the gravel on the first lap twice this season. And now quite early in the race, he's put it in the gravel again. It's getting into his head, I think, and I think he's just struggling psychologically. And when he's being absolutely obliterated by his teammate, as he is at the moment, he just needs to raise his game a little bit. And I wonder if he's going to try and take the fight to Charles Leclerc in Monaco.
Well, bizarrely, it was after he put pen to paper for the contract extension. Usually that takes the pressure off. We saw that with Valtteri Bottas. Of course, it wasn't signing for the same team. It was signing to move to Alfa Romeo. The pressure came off. He started to perform really well. You kind of thought that would happen with Sainz, but the reverse has been true.
Well, perhaps that's exactly the situation. He felt too comfortable and didn't feel under enough pressure and stopped performing. That's sometimes what happens to people in all sorts of fields, not just driving racing cars, standing in front of a television camera. It happens actually when you're doing your homework at school or whatever it is. If you are, some people perform well under pressure, some people perform better when there's no pressure. And I'm not quite sure at the moment which one Carlos is, but he is struggling quite a lot with just his performance on track.
Although he had a fabulous recovery drive, a lot of recovery drives out there today, of course, Lewis Hamilton being one of them, but Carlos Sainz also doing a very good job to get it back up there, really, when he was the last man standing. The only horse in the race.
Well, yeah,
quite
absolutely.
Literally.
And I think just the performance he put in, and we're looking at it at the moment on the screen, some of those passes, that's when getting back through the field. He's one of these drivers who just managed to race through. It's like Fernando Alonso did it early on, then Lewis did it later on, but he just picked up the pace and got his head down and got on with it. And I think when he saw that Mercedes coming back at him on the final lap, he must have had a big smile on his face there. I think just that was the moment he went, oh, thanks, oh, gracias, as they say around here.
Muchísimas gracias. I think, yeah, it's been a tricky weekend for him. He hasn't been comfortable all weekend, and he does take a bit of time to get used to things, but cracking driver, and hopefully he'll take the result today and take that into Monaco, although Charles will be fighting hard for a Monaco win.
We are talking about the Charles Leclerc, who's never finished a motor race in Monaco.
Yeah, okay. We know what you're getting at. Yes, well, what a race, though. I mean, what a race weekend. You've loved it because of all the upgrades. Did it satisfy you on all those levels?
Yeah, not more than just satisfying on the upgrades levels, because we've had that forever at this circuit, and it's always great fun, not just because of the food, not just because of the upgrades, but coming into this race weekend, I think it's fair to say historically the Spanish Grand Prix on this circuit hasn't been an absolute thriller. Formula One's new technical regulations for 2022 are responsible for turning this race into an absolute thriller, because even if Charles Leclerc hadn't had a technical failure and disappeared off into the distance, the battles through the field were fantastic. I mean, overtaking on the inside, on the outside, these cars can race. Now we know it's true.
Well, what a great way to leave Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, of course, the site of where we first saw these new generation cars test back in February. And now here we see them race and overtake each other at the Spanish Grand Prix. Looking ahead, we move straight to Monaco for that incredible street circuit. Be interesting to see how the cars fare around there. That is in just a week's time. Then we head to Azerbaijan, and then we're back across the Atlantic to Canada. Then it's Silverstone and Austria. And then a little later on, it's France and Hungary before we break for the summer holidays, and we'll reconvene for the Belgian Grand Prix. And then, of course, Max Verstappen's home territory, the Netherlands, before Italy in Monza. And Singapore is back on the calendar, as is Japan. And then we're into United States of America before Mexico and Brazil, and the season finale in Abu Dhabi. Wow, we're a quarter of the way through. Sam, thank you so much for your expert analysis across the race weekend. Thank you so much to Will Buxton and Jolyon Palmer in the commentary box. Jordan King on the tech pad, Ariana Bravo roaming the paddock for us. I have been Rosanna Tennant, and thank you to all our co-hosts and guests across the weekend. We'll be back next week for the Monaco Grand Prix. Join us then. Goodbye.
Welcome to the Monaco Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. Gonna go wheel to wheel up over Rivage here. This time he has got that move done. Down the inside and they make contact. Max Verstappen wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yes, oh, nice race.